Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Victoria Online. It's lovely to have you here with us today. And if you happen to be watching later in the week on a recording, then we welcome you, whatever time of day it is, just knowing that it's the right time for you and for everyone. It's such a wonderful day always. I love the springtime, and today we're getting a little bit of rain. I'm sure you're all experiencing it, and it's kind of nice to see everything getting freshened up again. And so, just keeping us fresh and uplifted and filled with spirit, I invite Reverend Joanna to do our opening treatment this morning. Joanna?
Thank you, Reverend Carrie. And so I know that the one infinite power, spirit, universal consciousness, whatever we choose to call that power, it truly is the essence of the seen and unseen universe. It is all that is. And it is that power that is expressing through each one of us here and now in this very moment, that infinite power, that creative energy, that force of good, that force of love, that force of joy and abundance is expressing in each one of us and in all that is in the entire universe. And knowing this, I know that each of us is here on purpose. We are spirit in form, living in this time, in this moment, in this place, on purpose. And as I know this to be true, I know that we are each in our perfect place, each called to be and do that which is our highest and best good, called to be creative, called to be kind, called to be generous, called to be thoughtful, called to be here for one another. This community is a power so great that we cannot even conceive of it. Spirit in form, moving, changing, building the universe. The creative force of spirit working through each of us is infinite in its power. And as I know this to be true, I know that for everyone here today and for all those on the planet in this time, we are held in love. We are held in the truth of spirit. Through whatever appearance of the universe at this moment, we are held in health. We are held in love. I give thanks for the power of this teaching. I give thanks for this community and the love within it. I release my word to the law, to spirit, knowing it is so, and so it is.
Thank you so much, Reverend Joanna. That was lovely. And I would now like to invite Darlene Haynes to give us a little taste of heaven today.
Thank you, Carrie. So this song I'd like to lead you all in is one we often sing as an opening song at our center, and it is, "I'm Choosing Heaven Today." I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing peace today. I'm choosing peace today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing peace today. I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing love today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing heaven. I'm choosing heaven. I'm choosing heaven today.
Yay. Thank you so much, Darlene.
Oh, you're welcome.
It's always a choice. It's such a good reminder. It's always a choice. We can choose exactly how it is we're going to feel in any moment of any day, knowing that God is there to support us in every way. And so today I'm actually going to talk about heaven, actually about paradise, which is another word for heaven. And my title is Paradise Found. And of course, I'm still working with the book, The 7 Living Words by Mark Anthony Lord. I always want to say Lloyd at the end, but it's Lord, Mark Anthony Lord, who is a wonderful religious science minister who is known all over the world. He has spoken in so many places and has given so much in his young life to this teaching and to awakening hearts and spirits everywhere. So today we have a new word. The first word last week was forgiveness. And without forgiveness, he reminds us that we really can't overcome a lot of other obstacles in our lives. We don't have freedom if we're carrying grudges around with us, if we're carrying toxicity with us, if we're, if we've drunk the cup of poison and expected the other person to die. We have to really, really learn to release these things and to just go into spirit, to go with love. And the second word, which is the word for today, is now. Now, typically, if I'm thinking of the word now, it's got to do it now. Let's do it now. Don't leave it until tomorrow. You have to don't leave till tomorrow what you can do today, and that kind of thing. Kind of a pressure to just get going with everything. Don't leave anything behind, and clear the desk. Make sure that everything is cleared off at the end of the day. Lifelong habit. I don't remember who taught me that, but coming to unlearn that, if that's a word, is a really important thing. It's been an important thing in my life. It's an important thing for each one of us, because when we're talking about the spiritual now, we're talking about being very present, being mindful. And of course, mindfulness has become a buzzword in recent years. It's very frequently used, and there are magazines out even with the title mindfulness in them. So when we're talking about mindfulness, we're talking about, letting go of the past, not thinking about the past, not dwelling on it, and also not constantly thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow or next week or next month or next year. It might be challenging these times, during COVID, where we're saying, is it ever going to go away? What's going to happen tomorrow? How long is it going to be before we can be together again in our center? Those kinds of things. And I confess to having those thoughts. But the thing is, Dr. Lord tells us to just, release whatever was in the past that has been bothering us. And whatever's going to happen tomorrow will happen tomorrow. But right now, just be at peace, be in a state of grace, just be in the present moment, conscious about what it is that we're doing right now. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't ever make plans for the future. It doesn't mean that we don't think about the experiences of the past and what we've learned from them. But when we do that, we are present in the moment of thinking about those things. We're present in the moment of thinking, what is it that I needed to learn from that experience? We're present in the moment of saying, right now, I am going to create the mental equivalent. I'm going to pray. I'm going to create my future. But we're not just going around randomly. And I think of this so often for me to be in the present moment, the times that I find it to be the most peaceful and the most filled with grace are when I'm out in nature. And I think I mentioned last week that every day at 5 o'clock, when the weather was so lovely, I was taking my dinner to the beach. And that's where I really found myself in a state of grace, a state of just being fully present in the moment. I wasn't thinking about anything I was going to do later or the next day or anything that had happened the day before. And I was thinking, as I thought about it this week, I thought, how could I have? I was sitting there in total bliss, enjoying the sunshine. And it was a relatively deserted beach. And the tide was out, but there was a mother with two little tiny kids down on the beach, which was a distance from me. And they were running on the beach and playing, and the little boys had buckets in their hands, and they were picking up shells. And with every shell that they picked out, they'd just shout with glee. And then a gull swept down and caught a fish, caught its dinner. And the children were just whooping. They had not seen anything like that before, I don't think, because they were so excited. And it was just wonderful to just watch that, to feel their joy, their exuberance. And I was looking down at the grass. I was sitting on the grass and I was looking down, and there are all of these little white flowers. From a distance, I thought that it was clover, but when I sat down, I realized that they looked like little daisies, and they might be a weed, I don't know, but they looked like daisies to me, but tiny ones. And they were so resilient. I had to walk on them because there were so many, and they just sprung right up again. Nothing was holding them down. And I was in wonder at that. And then across the street, there was a row of magnolia blossoms that were just the deepest, deepest pink. And I was just sucking my breath in wonder, and I could just feel my heart expand. And it was a feeling that I get when I pray or when I meditate. This great warmth in my heart center. And and I was thinking about God, and how nature is such a reflection of that, not just in its physical form, but in what it makes me feel. And I was thinking that, in the springtime when everything is so glorious, and I'm so filled with this presence, that, sometimes in my life when I'm meditating or when I'm praying, I feel that great explosion of God inside me. And then other times, it seems a bit more distant. It's kind of like winter, a little bit chillier. But I've recognized that it doesn't ever have to be, that I can always carry springtime in my heart. When I'm in the now moment, it doesn't matter what is happening outside, doesn't matter what's happening in my home, doesn't matter what's happening anywhere. Because when I'm carrying that springtime in my heart, I'm carrying the presence of God there. And all I can think of at that point is what is good. And that's what Mark Anthony Lord is telling us to do. He's saying, forget all of the stuff that has gone on in the past that that has hurt you in any way, wounded you in any way, anything that you feel that's been negative in any way. Just let it go. Remember the good things. Focus on the good things, and don't be concerned about the things that happened in the past that you think are going to affect your future. You can't do it because of what happened in the past. Instead, just focus on the good. Let the other stuff go. And he says, it makes the now even more important because as long as I practice living in the moment, the changes don't take me away from God. I am carried along with them and with the divine presence. So, mindfully, when we're out in nature or whatever we're doing, we don't start making shopping lists in our head. We don't start thinking about what we're going to be doing tomorrow or what we're going to be doing later in the day. When we're mindful, when we're fully present, that's where we are. We're in that place of grace. I don't know about you, but from time to time, I'll be reading a book and I'll go through maybe 3 or 4 pages and then realize I don't even know what I read. because I've been thinking about what I have to do later or what I'm going to do tomorrow. Something else has come up in my mind. And then I have to go back and reread those pages again. It's human nature at times to do that kind of thing. But when we are mindful, if we can catch ourselves early on and say, okay, I'm sitting down to read, I'm releasing all else around me, and I'm just going to relax. And maybe that takes a few minutes of just sitting and just breathing and just being aware of beauty and wonder around us, or thinking about beauty and wonder in our minds, and then opening up that book and starting to read. And and we read with a whole other kind of perception about what we're reading as well, because our hearts are more open. And so it's something that's really important for us to do, I think. And paradise found is about living in that moment. I call it the holy moment, living in that moment. It's always a choice. Mark says that now is the second word from the crucifixion. And I thought that's really interesting when I read it, because I thought, I don't remember that being a word. But what he's referencing is um, in the crucifixion, Jesus being on the cross, and the two thieves who were on either side of him, one to his left and one to his right. And and he said to them, today you will be with me in paradise. Today you will be with me in paradise. In other words, in the kingdom of heaven. And he said metaphysically what that meant is that to the left of Jesus was this thief on the cross who represented the past, represented um, crime, represented challenges, represented all of the difficulties in life. And to the right was represented the future, and that being what would be taken into the future from this experience. And so when he said, today you will be with me in paradise, he was just saying, right here, right now, in the presence, in the holy presence of God, we are here. We don't need to be thinking about the past or about tomorrow. This is where we are. And so Mark is saying that's what we really need to be cultivating. And uh, and and truly, it's something that is a choice. When we're at our very worst, experiencing things that we feel are our very worst, that's when we need to stop ourselves and to make a choice. And it isn't always easy to do. I mean, we all know that. But the more we practice, the easier that it gets. And and then all good remains with us. We really need to remember the good things in our lives when we're feeling low, instead of focusing on the challenging things, to think about the good things, the happy memories. And he says, what will not linger on is fear, desolation, sadness. Those things are no longer needed. When we allow ourselves to be in the mystical, we become fully immersed in the now, which is the only place transformation can take place. In other words, that is the only place that we can change, is when we're in the now, because that's when we can start creating an image, a mental equivalent for our future. Especially if we're struggling, we have to start looking at what our lives will look like on a better day. Sometimes breathing is all we can do. If we've gone through profound grief, it's very difficult to think of anything else but our grief. The first little while we sit in numbness and in pain. I can remember going through this many years ago, and I would just go and sit on my patio. It was in August, and I would sit in my patio in the back. I was living in Vancouver, and I was up the mountain quite high. And as I sat there, I could look over the Burrard Inlet way down below, and I could see the ocean off in a distance. I could see Mount Baker. I could see the Gulf Islands. It was just this amazing panoramic view. And there was a lovely stream that ran through my back garden, and I could hear that rippling of the brook as it was cascading down the mountain. And there were hummingbirds that were silently flying around just making their magic everywhere. And there were flowers. I had pots of roses on my patio, and they were in glorious bloom. And the fragrance was so amazing. And I was swept up by the fragrance of the roses. And I found that after about a week or two, that when I was on the patio and when I could smell the fragrance of the roses, I could feel the presence of a loved one that I'd lost. And I could really feel the presence of God in that moment. And at that time, I recognized that there was no separation. And then I could remember the good things that we shared, the love that we shared, the joy that we shared. Um, if I hadn't been able to just sit in that stillness, and I have to say that for me, in my entire life, that was not ever much of a conscious choice. It would have been more like me, make yourself busy and don't think about it. Make yourself so busy that you're not sad all the time. But instead, I just allowed myself to go into that. And it was a huge lesson for me. I wasn't yet a minister, but I knew that I was going to be at that point. And that was such a great gift for me to understand at that moment that, that I had the choice to sit in the stillness and to just be. And just being was really what it was all about. Knowing that the past will be over and the future can seem uncertain, but what is always certain is that good is constant and dependable and will reign supreme again. Good will reign supreme again. Love is supreme and will reign again. And so will the joy of all of those experiences. Thich Nhat Hanh wrote something lovely that I want to share with you. He said, to dwell in the here and now does not mean that you never think about the past or responsibly plan for the future. The idea is simply not to allow yourself to get lost in regret about the past or worries about the future. Letting go gives us freedom, and freedom is the only condition for happiness. It's about leaving no space for regrets or worries in that moment. It's that simple and it's that difficult. We can't be connected 24/7. As much as we would love to feel the presence of God 24/7, it just isn't. It just doesn't happen that way for us. I'm sure that even monks on mountaintops have their moments when they slip out of it. And so, what we need to do is to shift our awareness. When we're in a place of not feeling particularly happy, it's time to shift our awareness and shift our thoughts if we're dwelling on a place of the past or worrying about the past in some way. And the best way to do that is through meditation. And by meditation, it doesn't always mean just sitting, with your hands on your lap and going into the silence and examining your breath. It can mean being out and walking in nature, moving meditation. It can mean different things for different people. It can be listening to beautiful music, um, you know, things that fill our hearts in a whole other way. And so it's important for that. We must be a match for all of the goodness in our lives. And then we'll rise up in consciousness. We'll be creating heaven on earth when we do that. That paradise will be there for us. One of the things that Mark Anthony Lord suggested is that we do an exercise, and I just invite you to do it now, since you're at home, and take your left arm and put it out to your side, and just say, I release my past, and then put your arm down. Your right arm out, I release my future, and then bring both of your hands together in front of you in a prayerful position, and just say, I'm one with God in this present moment. I'm one with God in this present moment. Now, you can also do this with other things, and I suggest it's a really good thing to do. Mark said that he really suffered as a child because his father left him and his mother when he was 7 years old. And so he always carried with him the feeling of abandonment. And so what he was able to do was to put his left arm out and to say, I release the feelings of abandonment by my father. And his right arm, I release whatever those feelings might have done to affect my future. And then putting his hands prayerfully together, God is with me always. I am never alone. I am never abandoned. So if we take things in our lives that might be core issues for us and do that exercise, and not just do it once, but sit with it, maybe do it for 5 minutes or so, and just allow ourselves to release that and to let it go, knowing that we belong, we belong to God, and that will never, ever leave us. So I just invite you now to do a meditation with me that Mark wrote, and it's from his book. And I need to change my glasses, of course, so that I can see what I'm reading here. And so in this moment, I now release all the ways that I have put my good on hold. I let them go. And I accept back the goodness that has been trapped in those ideas. I release the belief that a job, a relationship, money, health, or anything of this world is the source of my good. Today, I stand in the glory of God in and as my life. Today, I claim my paradise right in the midst of my transformation. How bold am I? Very. I know the truth that God is good all the time. Right now, I am in paradise. Therefore, I accept and live in it. I ask the Holy Spirit to show me my good today. Release me from all the agreements and attachments that I've made that have kept my good at bay. Right now, right now, right now. I am one with God. Right now, I am free. Right now, I stand in paradise. And so it is. And so I bless each of you. Thank you for being with us today. And right now, I pass the metaphorical basket and invite you to make a contribution to our center today. If you wish to do so, you can do that online at www.cslvictoria.org. And there is a PayPal place there, or you can send it by e-transfer. And e-transfer is donate@cslvictoria.org, and that goes directly into our bank account. And I thank you for the contributions that you have made in the past and that you continue to make, because they're keeping us afloat during this time and ready and eager to get back into our physical space again. It's going to be so wonderful. It'll be a special celebration that day. And now I'd like to invite I would like to invite Reverend Jennifer to do our closing treatment today. Sorry, Jennifer, for a moment I had a blank there.
I'm never forgotten.
You're never forgotten in my mind, that's sure. Just the orders today.
What a special moment we're living in this place, all of us. This very special place, special time. This very special relationship we have with each other. The joy we feel, the heartfelt connection that we have with each other. And as we look at that connection and that feeling within our heart, we realize it's love. What pulls us is the love within our heart. It pulls us, it pulls everyone else's heart. It makes that connection. And it keeps pulling until we recognize There's only one heart, only one love. That is divine love, the heart of God that we are experiencing. And as we look around in this world of beauty, color, of individualization, we realize there's only one beauty. There's only one joy, along with the one heart and the one love. Then we recognize oneness. As we understand the name of God being, I am that I am. This is the tool that gives us our oneness, or whatever we perceive. I am that. Because we are receiving from within ourselves the expression of God in the physical. We are one. We're one with God. It is God's great pleasure to give us the experience of oneness, to identify with everything that exists. And as we use a filter of love, everything that exists and is drawn to us is good, born of love, born of grace. As I know this is true deep, deep in my heart, my whole being is an expression of this truth. The beauty and the joy that I see expressing around me takes my breath away. Because I am witnessing the presence of God. I am witnessing myself, one with God. And as Ernest Holmes tells us, there is only one life. That is the life of God. I'm living it. And as I live it, I look out and see you. And I know you are living that one life, that life of God, lovingly, joyfully, with great beauty. And I allow this oneness to grow and expand and renew itself as in the springtime. The flowers blossoming, the fresh and beautiful and gorgeous green leaves turning to the trees. Beautiful bird song, the joy of children, the newborn lambs, the return of playfulness, joy, and most of all, love. So with a joyful heart full of love, I give thanks. I give thanks for this wonderful experience called life. One life, one love. Let it be a blessing upon everyone we meet. because we know the truth. We're in the company, presence of God. Thank you, God. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you so much, Jennifer. And I wish you all an absolutely wonderful and blessed week, knowing that the highest and best is unfolding for you and for all of us, for everyone everywhere. Let's just look to the light, look to the beauty around us, and feel the presence, and know that we've found paradise. We're living in it here, that's for sure. And so it is. See you next week. Bye for now.